Welcome to Basic Brewing Video. I'm James Spencer.
I'm Steve Wilkes.
This is the third video that we've shot today.
Third time's a charm.
Luckily it's Steve's turn to talk. It's Steve's turn to talk.
I'll try to keep it together.
Yeah, well, keep it together for both of us, will you? So,
all right. I can.
No, but you actually gave me 2 beers, and we'll see if we get how I feel at the end of this show to whether we talk about the next one or not. But these beers have taken a lot of thought and preparation, and really, you approach brewing from the culinary side of things. You are more of a chef. You're a good brewer, but you bring a background as a chef in thinking about flavors and ingredients and how things go together. And I think that this beer especially is an indication that how things work together. So that's a preface to you talking about this beer. What do we got here, Steve?
Well, I've named this Tart cherry pie.
Wasn't that a song in the 80s?
That's right. Actually what we've got here is what started out life. It started life off as a Flanders Brown.
Ooh.
But it didn't end there, and it ended up being something completely different. And that was a flavor thing, and also I was having fun. So let me tell you what it is, and we can go ahead and pour. It's really a fruit beer at this point. It's a sour fruit beer, if you want to talk style. It is the grain bills 5-gallon recipe. It's 4.75 pounds of 6-row base malt. It's 4.75 pounds of red wheat, red malted wheat from Brice. 4 pounds of honey, and 4 ounces of carapils, and then that was brewed. I only did a 15-minute boil. I did do a 2-hour mash, but that had more to do with the Monday Night Football game than the Chiefs were playing, and I let it mash for 2 hours. But I did do a 15-minute boil.
Wow.
No, I take that back. It was a 30-minute boil. Sorry, because I did a 30-minute boil. And I did an ounce of cluster and an ounce of sots, both at 30 minutes, and boiled for 30 minutes. And then I let it hop stand. I just let it stand there for 30 minutes before I did a big cool down on it.
Okay.
But then when I brought it down to temp, I put it into the fermenter onto 3/4 of a gallon of tart cherry juice.
Ooh.
So that's where the red comes from, and that's where the cherry comes into it. So it was fermented. So in other words, I took all the wort and put it cooled onto the 3/4 of a gallon of tart cherry juice, and then I pitched Imperial Sour Batch Kidz onto it. And that's a blended. It's a saison strain. There's Brett. There's oh my gosh, this is the third beer.
Check imperialyeast.com for details on Sour Patch Kids.
I'm losing words already. But at any rate, Sour Patch Kids, and let that go. But here's the thing, with the Sour Patch Kids, boy, I mean, it fermented for a long time. It went and went and went and went, and eventually. The original gravity, by the way, was 1074, and the final gravity was 1010.
Wow!
So it's an 8.4% beer. Eventually, I did put it under the secondary. Started this beer back in the springtime. Don't recall exactly when, and I'll give you the backstory of that in a minute. But I started it back in the springtime. It went most of the summer went into midsummer. Before it was done fermenting. I need to take a sip. Oh my.
Mm-hmm.
And then Then I moved it onto the secondary, and I left it in secondary for quite a long time, not refrigerated, but until I could get to it, and then bottled it. And I did add a little bit of cask conditioning yeast at bottling, just to make sure. And I also cut back. I can't remember what the amount of priming sugar was recommended, but I cut that back by a third.
Oh wow!
Because of the Brett.
Right.
So.
Well, it's plenty carbonated.
That's plenty carbonated,
Yeah.
and I expect I'm going to hopefully save. I hope I can save back a few of these long enough to let that Brett continue to work and work and work, and I would expect the beer to continue to dry out over time. But what do you think?
Oh man, it's super good. I mean, the cherry character, the sourness. It's not super sour, but there's a really nice tartness there that really accentuates the cherry character. But there's still enough of a malt backbone to give that kind of pie character.
Yeah.
And it reminds me, it's not exactly so, but it reminds me of now my words are going. What's the what's the Wisconsin brewery that you can
New Glarus.
New Glarus. New Glarus is Belgian red. It reminds me of that. It's not as, the mouthfeel is not as substantial as that beer, but it's very nice. It's nicely balanced. There's a lot of malt to go along with that bright, really bright cherry character. Oh man, it's really good. Super good.
Well, I like it. I think it came out terrific, and yeah. So I'm going to definitely brew this again. I don't generally brew beers more than once or twice, but I will definitely brew this again for sure. And
there's no spice in this, right? Mm-mm. But there's a spiciness to it. There's kind of I get, maybe it's just, my mind playing tricks on me, but I get kind of a cinnamony, maybe clovey kind of a thing going on.
Well, it might. Yeah, I guess that Sour Batch Kids. It's a lot of stuff going on in that yeast blend. Mm-hmm. So, I get a little bit of kind of a cinnamon, a little bit.
Yeah.
But the beer does remind me, and that's why I keep calling it cherry pie, because I just can't think of anything else that it reminds me of, but it reminds me a lot of taking a bite of a cherry pie. Yeah. And so I kind of think of a little cinnamon and a cherry pie, on the crust or something. It kind of goes in there.
Yeah, and whenever we get a chance to have one of those New Glarus fruit beers, one of the things that we say always is this is just like drinking liquid pie, because there's the fruit, but then there's the malt back, there's the grain as well. And so that, that brings it's not just a fruit drink, it's a beer.
Right.
It's a fruited beer. And that's what this one is a nice balance of it's not just like fruit juice fermented. Mm-hmm. It's not a wine. It's a beer.
Nope. It's beer. Yeah. It's definitely a beer. And if I was surprised at anything about it, it's how well it held that cherry flavor, and how it held the cherry flavor without it going to a kind of sweet, I don't know, novelty beer kind of way. It's a very sophisticated, kind of beer. I mean, it's a fruit beer, but it's not a goofy frat beer or something.
Yeah, it's not a novelty beer at all.
And
if you're I would imagine if you're not careful, that the astringencies of the cherries, if you dried it, if it was too dry, you would get too much of that. But that's not at all what this is. I'm surprised that it finished as low as it did at 1010, because there is a substantial amount of mouthfeel there.
Yeah. So. Yeah, no kidding. I thought it would. Well, who knows? I'm like I say, I've got about half of the batch left, and I'm going to try to save half of that half. I'm going to try to save about a fourth of it for a month. So that maybe next fall we can come back to it.
Well, if you want to store some of those bottles over here at the house.
Yeah, that's where they need to be, and just see how it changes. It would be interesting to see, but I'm super happy about it, and I will try to get off my keister and put it on the website, put it on my store website. So if anybody wants the recipe, they can get it. It's worth brewing, in my opinion.
Oh man!
And I also like the honey in it too. So it's not a heavy beer either. I mean, that 4 pounds of honey, it's kind of got that braggot thing going. It's light. It's the body is fairly light in it. So yeah, came out good.
Wish you were here.
Me too. I'd send everybody I know a bottle if I'd only had.
Well, you've sent the recipe out into the universe here, so people can
That's right.
Can do their own. So
All right.
Awesome, excellently, very well done.
Thanks, James.
Thanks, Steve. Happy brewing, everybody.
Happy brewing.
Cheers.
Come and visit us online. At basicbrewing.com, you can find archive lists of our audio and video podcasts on home brewing. You can also find our DVDs and our brewer's logbook, where you can track and log up to 50 batches of beer. If you're in Fayetteville, Arkansas, stop by Steve's Brew Shop or find him online at stevesbrewshop.com.
The foam has a pinkish hue.
Mm-hmm.
I like a pinkish hue.
A rosy glow. She was a stripper down at the 85 Club.